Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to look at how animals remove waste from their bodies. And this is waste in Thai. Let's start. So what are some examples of waste in the body? We have food waste. Water can be waste. Okay, if you have too much water in the body, the extra water can become waste. Carbon dioxide, salt, urea, or nitrogenous waste. If an animal cannot remove these waste from the body, what do you think will happen? The animal can get sick and die. So animals have to remove these waste. Today we're going to look at how animals remove different kind of waste, especially nitrogenous waste. So let's start. When animals eat proteins, they produce or they make byproducts, nitrogenous waste byproducts, and animals have to remove this byproduct, this nitrogenous waste, from their cells. If they cannot do that, it can be dangerous for the cells. Now, some animals can remove the nitrogenous waste as ammonia, NH3, and some animals remove nitrogenous waste as urea, and some remove nitrogenous waste as uric acid. So ammonia, urea, or uric acid. Most fishes remove nitrogenous waste as ammonia, and mammals use urea, and birds and reptiles use uric acid. Now, what is different about these three nitrogenous waste? First, ammonia is very toxic, very bad and dangerous for the cells, and we need a lot of water to remove it. Urea is the next most toxic, is the second most toxic, and we need some amount of water, not too much, not too little, to remove. The last one is uric acid. Uric acid needs a little bit of water, very little water, to remove it, and it is the least toxic to the cells. If you have ever seen a lizard poop, you see this white material. The white material is the uric acid. You can see it looks solid because we don't need too much water to remove it. If you also see the poop of bird, you see some white material in there. This is their uric acid. Now, some animals can remove nitrogenous waste in two ways. Sometimes they can use ammonia, sometimes they can use urea. Example is the earthworm. When earthworms are in water, they produce ammonia because they have a lot of water. But when they move to the land or in the soil, they change and they produce urea. Tadpoles, the little baby frogs, when they are in water, they produce ammonia. But when they grow up to become the frog and live on the land, they produce urea. And this is very good for the animal because it can help them to save energy or save water when they change the environment. Next, we're going to talk about 4 organisms and how they remove waste. Let's start with protozoans. Protozoans are not animals, but they look like animals. Example is paramecium, amoeba, and euglena. Let's start with the food waste. How do they remove food waste? First, the food, if this round structure is the food goes into the cell and it is digested. Right? It is digested by enzymes from the lysosome. And the undigested food goes and joins the cell membrane and it is released outside. And this is how they release the food waste. The food comes in, it is digested, And the food that the undigested food, or the food that is not digested, joins their cell membrane. It stays in this vesicle and it is joined to the cell membrane and it moves out. Next, how do these protozoans remove nitrogenous waste? So they produce ammonia, okay, and the ammonia can just move out of the cell into the water around them, just moves, okay, from high concentration in the cell to low concentration in the water. But sometimes they can change the ammonia to ammonium ion or ammonium, okay. The ammonia gas can react with water to produce ammonium, and this ammonium can move out of the cell. It will pass the cell membrane, but because it has a charge, it cannot move directly through the cell membrane. So it has to use a special protein in the cell membrane to move out. And the last one is, how do these protozoans, these guys, remove extra water? They use a structure we call as contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole. This is example is circle in amoeba. It looks like the star in paramecium and euglena. But how does it work? So let's say this is the organism. This is the amoeba. And water moves into the cell, moves in, the cell gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If the amoeba cannot remove the extra water, the cell of the amoeba will get bigger and pop, and the amoeba will die. So inside the amoeba is the contractile vacuole, this circle. When more water goes into the amoeba, the water will be absorbed into the contractile vacuole. The contractile vacuole will get bigger and bigger, and it will move to the cell membrane and join to the cell membrane and release the extra water out. So this is how they remove extra water from the body. They use a contractile vacuole. Next animal we're going to look at is the flatworm. First, let's look at the food waste. How do they remove food waste? The food goes in one direction, in the pharynx. It is digested and the waste comes out from the same direction. Very simple animal. What about water and urea or nitrogenous waste? Flatworms have little pumps on the side of the body, the left and the right. These green structure, okay, on the left and on the right side. These structures are little pumps that can pump water out of the body. And this is the name protonephridia. They are called protonephridia. They are little pumps. This is how it works. It will pump the water out from the side of the flatworm. But if you zoom into the protonephridia, it is made up of these cells. We call them flame cells. So protonephridia are made up of flame cells. And the flame cells, if you look, they have a little hole on the side. This is the one flame cell. There are many flame cells that join together to pump the water out. This is one. It has a nucleus, and inside the cell there is a little cilia that looks like the hair. The cilia that it can move. Okay. Now on the side is a little slit. This is a slit. Okay, if you zoom in, you see here a little hole. The water can move into the slit and move out of the body. Now, how does it work? So if I can show you here, if you click on it, the water moves into the slit to this area where we have the cilia. When the cilia moves, it will suck the water into the cell, and the water will be pumped out. Okay, now when the cilia are moving like that, they look like the flame of a fire, and this is where they get their name from, flame cells. Yeah, so they pump the water out. When the water is going out, it still has some salt and sugar, which is good for the body, right? So we have to reabsorb some of them back to the body. And this cell here, called the tube cell, will help to reabsorb. When the water is moving out, some of the salt and sugar will come back to the body. It will be reabsorbed by the tube cell. The next animal is the earthworm. How do earthworms remove waste? First, the food waste. The food goes into the mouth and out of the anus, just like this. Very simple. What about extra water and the nitrogenous waste? How do earthworms remove them? They have a structure called metanephridia. And this is one metanephridia, one metanephridium, and then there is another one here. There are many metanephridia in many segments of the earthworm. So there are many of them, okay, in each segment, or most of the segments. Now, how does it work? The metanephridia has a little mouth, okay, right here, and it is coiled around, and it has a little paw over here. So the water around in the space here can go into the little mouth, move around, and go out. There are also blood vessels around it, so that little things like salt and ions can move from the blood into their metanephridia, and they will come out with the water. It looks something like this. So the water goes into the little mouth and then out. Okay, these metanephridia in earthworms are more advanced. They work better than the protonephridia in flatworms. The last animal we will look at are insects. How do insects remove waste? First, the food waste. The food goes into the mouth, it is digested, and the waste comes out from the anus. Looks something like this. Okay. What about uric acid? What about water and salt? So they use a structure we call as Malpighian tubules. These little, looks like little fingers. Okay. This is it, Malpighian tubules. They are like the kidneys of the insect. Now, how do they work? Around the Malpighian tubules, in the spaces here in the body, there is the blood of the insect, which is called the hemolymph. Inside this blood, inside this hemolymph, we have salt, uric acid, and water, right? Now, the uric acid and the water and the salt will move into the Malpighian tubules. They move in and go to the hindgut and come out from the anus together with the food waste. Okay, so let me show you an example. So the water moves in, mixed with the food waste, and then comes out. When it comes out with what? The uric acid and the salt. And this is how insects remove their waste.